Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for a special interview. Today, I have two very special guests from the film that's dropping February 5th on everything, all digital platforms and on DVD and Blu-ray. More Than Miyagi, the Pat Morita story. Now, for all you Cobra Kai's and Karate Kid fans and enthusiasts, this is going to be a treat for you today because I cannot wait to tap into the brains of these two talented men. Director Kevin Derrick and producer Oscar Alvarez. Gentlemen, how you doing today?
Good. Doing good. Thank you for having us.
Not a problem, not a problem. I'm absolutely starting off by saying, as a fan, thank you so much for bringing this project to life. I just was just thrilled. As soon as I saw the trailer, I was typing all types of emails to say, well, how can I see this? I need to see this right away. It's so well time paced, obviously, with the momentum of Cobra Kai, but also too, I think the message that comes from this is super important as the world tries to get back to some normalcy. So, you know, everything about this has meant a lot to me as a fan and as a person. I just can't thank you two enough. So I definitely have to ask you all, you know, with my first question is, can you just tell me possibly the level of pressure and responsibility to get this project done? Because this was really significant here. This was a big thing that happened. So yeah, what was sort of the pressure and responsibility into completing this project?
Do you want me to start, Oscar?
Yeah, go ahead if you feel comfortable. Yeah.
So, you know, we started this in 2016. It was before Cobra Kai was even, you know, in production. So, you know, we really didn't have that much pressure because since this is an independent film, we're basically our own boss and we basically did the editing, directing and everything. So there wasn't anyone like on our shoulder, hey, you need to get this done quickly because, you know, we're running out of time stuff. But in terms of, you want to fill in, Oscar? I mean, for me, I didn't really have that much pressure. I would just say the editing for me was the biggest thing because since Pat wasn't here, you know, to talk about himself, we had to resort to interviews. And especially in the beginning, it was very hard, like the first 15, 20 minutes, because the people who know him really well, they had all passed away, like, you know, John Avildsen and Jerry Weintraub and all these producers and stuff. So I had to resort to interviews. But the beginning part, I would say, for me was the hardest thing. But overall, it was a good experience.
Yeah, I think Kevin hit it on the nose as far as like in the beginning. Obviously, you know, when we heard about the story and we learned about Pat's life and all the things that he's been through, we were like, wow, this is. I mean, I already remember Pat and was excited of him, knowing him from Happy Days, you know, and then I didn't know all the things that he had gone. I didn't even know that he did stand up, and I didn't know he had a relationship with Red Fox, and that's when I go, okay, this is like huge. And then when we saw that manuscript and we learned all the other things and what he went through and what kind of a dark, you know, childhood he had experienced, and he still did what he did. It was like, yeah, this is amazing, and we definitely want to do this. And I think in the beginning, as Kevin said, we kind of did this on our own. We didn't have financial backing. We didn't have any of this stuff. So one of the things I think I remember we told Evelyn was like, look, if we're going to do this, because it's literally a love project.
Yeah.
And I said, we need to be able to tell the story the way we see it as filmmakers, and our job and our responsibility, as you said, is to be a detective. Yeah. And to really make sure that when we're interviewing these people and asking the same questions over and over again, that we make sure that, you know, if you're asking 20 people the same question, that you're getting 17 people saying the same, then you know, okay, this is what really happened. You know? Yeah. And that's important because, yeah, you do want to make sure. I don't know, for me, I tell Kevin all the time, and I think Kevin could even attest to this. It's like we get people that still say, hey, by the way, please tell Pat how much I love him. And we're like, oh, he's passed away. Like they literally don't even know. Some people think that he's still alive.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's this weird thing where I feel like he passed away, but like it kind of like it just got mentioned, but it was just kind of like shoved under the carpet. And it's like it's important, at least for me, being Latino, you know, and I know Kevin, you know, and trying to, you know, what you have to go through in Hollywood. and what he went through, and back in the 60s and 70s, you know, he's a pioneer. He paved the way for Asian American actors and any diverse actor for that matter.
Yeah.
Hence, Isai Morales comes on and he goes, I can relate to him.
Yeah.
I can relate to him. And he's Latino, you know what I mean? And it's this thing. My kids are actors. And yes, are we moving in the right direction in Hollywood right now? Yes. Are we there yet? Not yet. But we are moving. And this guy's been doing this, you know, early, way before anybody else. So that was important to make sure that, his story got told in the right way, and that there was nothing. Because I think people don't, aside from Miyagi, people don't really know the other personal stuff.
Yeah. Love the title, by the way. And that's exactly what my experience was. As soon as I realized that this was a documentary about Pat, and it obviously titled More Than Miyagi, I was like, oh yeah, there's going to be some peeling of the banana here, you know, getting back on some layers. And I just want to just, you know, to the fans really quick listening to this, is that Oscar is absolutely right. There's some strong, powerful themes that are intertwined with Pat's story that, as he said, really paved the way for some of the things that are happening now, but it's just beginning. And these two independent filmmakers here, you know, with them putting their finances on the line and so on to get these messages out, it's our job to make sure that we do support them. And beyond it being a good documentary, it tells a powerful message. So again, I must plug February 5th on all digital platforms and on DVD and Blu-ray. Check out this story. You're going to get a lot. It will be impactful. And as my next follow-up question to that, talking about impactful, we said a lot about Pat here, but you two did something that I thought was truly special, and you made this documentary raw. You told it how it was. You didn't stray away from the truth. And this is emphasis is on Pat's alcohol addiction and struggle. Why was that also important to go that way? Why was it important to, you know, shine the light on the struggles that the wonderful Pat Morita had to go through in his life?
Well, you got to keep it true to who he was. I mean, you don't want to show one-sided documentary. Just show everything is nice and rosy. You know, everyone can relate to alcoholism. I mean, I have uncles who are alcoholics, brothers, stuff like that. So it's easy for people to say, you know, to justify his drinking problem. I mean, look at what he went through, all the suffering that he did from like 2 to 11 in an internment camp. And then after that, he goes to, 2 to 11, he was in a hospital, and then he ended up going to internment camps. And even when he was in a hospital, I mean, he was in a full body cast from like his shoulder down to his knees. Can you imagine being a kid and being in that cast, and they set you out in the sun for like 4 or 5 hours a day just to bake? That was basically their treatment for, you know, tuberculosis. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's justifiable that what he went through, that he started drinking. I mean, God knows if I would have gone through that stuff, I would have already myself or done something worse. So we had to show both sides. I've seen documentaries that they just, our previous documentary that we did, I mean, we just showed the good side of, I mean, there's nothing wrong about doing that. But, you know, at the same time, if you want to tell a story, you got to be able to tell, you know, all sides.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we wanted to. First of all, I don't think Pat, just the artist that he is and the way he is, especially a comedian, I think he's an open book.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's what he wanted. Is that normal in a Japanese American family? Probably not. No. Just like in a Latino family, everything is kind of like, you know, whatever. But he was more than that. I mean, I think since a kid, he knew he wanted to be an entertainer. They said that when he was in the full body cast, the nurses would say, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And he goes, "I want to be an entertainer." And it's like, I can imagine the nurse going, "Well, son, you can't even walk yet. And like, how are you going to entertain people?" That's the type of dreams. And the fact that he went through all of that, and we're not talking about a full body cast for a month, 2 months. We're talking about years. Years. And and to think that as a child, he had that positive outlook and he still found ways of entertaining himself and doing all of this. I mean, he's a gift, I think, to the world, to society. And it's like he came out of that and he still went on and shared all of this stuff. And I think that's huge. I think Pat would be proud to share all of this. And if he can help anybody else that is maybe going through tough times, to say, look, find a way that something you love to be able to channel it through so you can keep moving forward. It's just unfortunate that, obviously we lost him I still consider 73, I believe he was a young
Still
age.
too soon.
And it's like, obviously, that's a type of disease where it can, come at you and just take your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So. It's just from the things you're saying, he's just been a legend and an icon since, day one, and just crazy. Even the conversation, people still thinking he's still alive, just shows you just how much and how many people he touched and how his effects still exist on the earth and you two continuing the story and shedding more light into it is just miraculous work. Now, you two obviously have been friends and buddies for a long time, worked together for many years here, but I just kind of want to know the journey. How did you two get started? And beyond that, how did you gain this passion in filmmaking?
Okay, I guess I'll go first. We've known each other for a long time. Basically, our film journey started, I think, back in 2007 or 8, something like that. We were just hanging out and having some coffee, and I told Oscar, okay, it's time for us to start a project. And then Oscar wanted to do something about kids, and my kids were in karate, and I liked karate, and I said, well, why don't we do something about, we both said it at the same time. We said, why don't we do something about karate kids?
Karate kids, yeah.
So basically that was our first journey, and where my kids were going, there was a class here in Mission Viejo, so we went and head up to the instructor, and we told them what if we would follow 4-year students. So basically it was a journey for these 4 kids and how they became a national champion. And then when we were in Florida filming that, I ran into my sensei, Fumiya Demura. Fumiya Demura is the guy who did all the stunts for Pat Morita for all the Karate Kid films. So we went out to lunch, and I told him, hey, sensei, I've been wanting to do a documentary about your life for the longest time. And back then, I think he was 69, 70, something like that, and he wasn't feeling too well. And he just told me, Kevin, I don't know how long I have to live. So if you want to do this, let's get going. So that's where the next project came to be. And then
the real Miyagi.
The real Miyagi, right. We're stuck in this karate world, so we can't get out. So, and then we went to Vegas to interview Pat Morita's wife for the real Miyagi. And then after the interview, she was telling us all these stories about, how Pat suffered this and did that, and he saw his father die in front of his eyes and all that stuff.
And really quick, that was accidental, Kevin, right? Because we were actually going there because we had to get her to sign a talent release.
Right, that's true. Right? That's true.
So we went there, and then as I go, hey, Kevin goes, let's make it a trip. And I go, okay, great. And then I go, you know what? I go, why don't we bring our gear just in case? What if we can ask her if she can say something, a few words? And we actually got her into the documentary at the last minute.
Right. And then when the real Miyagi came out on Netflix, she called us up and says, oh my God, this was great. Congratulations. And then that's when we said, why don't we hit her up and ask her if she wants to do a documentary on Pat? So that's how that started. But originally, she didn't want to do a documentary. She wanted to do a narrative feature, like a biopic. And then we told her that, I think it's a good idea if we start with a documentary first to see how much, traction we get, and it'll be easier for us to raise the money to do a feature. So that's how that came to be about. And then at the same time, when Pat was, doing that manuscript, he told Evelyn that, if anything were to happen to me, get this thing done, whether it's a book or a documentary or a film or whatever. So in a way, we kind of fulfilled his wishes by finishing this documentary. And did I leave anything out, Oscar?
No, I think that was it, right?
Yeah, we've known each other for a long time. I mean, we always wanted to do stuff together. Oscar is a nice guy. I mean, he's dependable. He's honest. So, I feel comfortable working for him. And I think we have a big journey coming up, after this.
Yeah, so, and same with Kevin. Like, it's like we're both the same person, which is great. And we get along really well. And yeah, it just kind of happened. I think we were like hanging out and we're like, hey, and Kevin has a background working. Have gone to film school. He went to Columbia, and and studied and all that. I, on the other hand, I never went to film school, but I got an opportunity to work for David O. Russell and learned that way. So it's like we took our things and we're like, we got to work on something. And then the rest is history. And here we are.
All because of just hanging out with a cup of coffee.
That's exactly it, man.
That's it.
Oh, man. This, you know, and a little bit of what you said kind of ties into this next question is that, you know, Pat obviously touched 1 billion people on his time on Earth. And obviously during the process of filmmaking, you interviewed a plethora of people. Amongst those talented people you interviewed, did you ever find yourself starstruck? Like, did you ever just find yourself sitting in this situation like, wow, I can't believe I'm talking to one, you know, potentially icon about another icon. Like, what is happening right now?
Right. But for me, it's not like starstruck more than it is strange, because I grew up watching Happy Days. I was 10 years old when Happy Days was on. And for me to go in Miriam Ross's house, and when I went in her house, I felt like I'm stepping into the Happy Days set. The first thing that she told me, just like, you know, how the, you know, Potsy and Richie, they go and sit down and have cookies and lemonade and all that stuff. So as soon as we came in, she said, kids, can you sit down before we shoot? We're going to have some cookies and lemonade. Dude, that was like the best thing for me. I'm like inside Happy Days. So it's more of a strange feeling for me rather than saying, oh my God, this is so-and-so, you know. But,
she's a sweetheart, by the way.
She's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
All of them. Everyone.
All of them. I mean, everybody.
Don
Winkler.
Moss is the nicest person.
Yeah, nobody ever, at least I think when Kevin and I have been together, no one's ever made us feel any different, or I don't know. When I meet people, I try to, you know, I treat everyone like human being, like they're
at least not this project. The previous project was
right.
Yeah. We had a very good experience with this project.
No, it was great. Everyone was really just genuine, wonderful people that really wanted to be a part of this and wanted to do this for Pat.
Awesome.
Oh, another cool thing was Isai Morales. When I met Isai Morales, he knew I was from Iran for some reason, just looking at me, he knew where I was from.
Yeah.
He had played a role back in the 80s that he played an Iranian. So all of the script was in, he had to remember Farsi lines. So the first thing that he did, he started like dishing out all these words in Farsi, and he's talking to me in Farsi, and I'm saying, what the hell? He was the nicest person. That was like one of my good experiences.
Which I'm sad because for whatever reason, I wasn't there that day.
Yeah, you were working. Hopefully we'll run into him again.
No, I love Isai. I mean, his work is incredible.
Yeah. Nice person.
That is awesome. Now, because you just never know, and I feel like it would be criminal if I didn't ask this, but do you all have any personal moments with Pat, or if you don't, any moments that you cherish of your memory of Pat?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first because you're better than mine.
It was back in 1983. You know how I was talking about my sensei Fumi Demura? He has like an annual tournament that he always invites celebrities and stuff. One year I remember it was Chuck Norris, and another year was Bob Wall from Enter the Dragon. Yeah. So that particular year, it was Pat Morita. So he's sitting next to my sensei, and there's an empty seat right next to Pat. So I just walk over there and I sit down next to him, and he's just looking at me. He was the nicest, sweetest person. So I just start talking to him and say, hey, you're so-and-so from Arnold, because Karate Kid hadn't been out yet.
Right.
And he said, yes, and just I have a whole bunch of things we just exchanged. And then my brother was right next to me, and he had one of those 35 millimeter cameras. And so we took a picture. And basically that was the only experience. Here, I have it here. I'll show you. That's
wow. That is awesome.
So how wild is that? And how many years?
Wow.
And 30 years later, who would have known that we would be working on this thing together?
I'm trying to tell you, fate. If there's one thing, if anybody in the world should believe it is fate. That's full circle right there.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Woo. All right, Oscar.
So, I think I can't top that. That's why I said you go first, Kevin. That's a great story. I don't know. For me, I guess your other question was if I didn't meet him, what's a moment of Pat that I remember?
Yeah. Some, or something that touched you about him or something.
Well, what touched me, I think a story wise, one of the things in Karate Kid, one of my favorite scenes in the original Karate Kid was when he gives Ralph Macchio's character Danielson the keys to the new car.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
Because this whole like father figure thing, and maybe it is because I lost my father at a young age, so maybe there's that connection or whatever. But I love the thing where he gives him the keys and he goes, "Oh my God!" And obviously the best line when Ralph turns to him, he goes, "You're the best friend I ever had."
Yeah. Whew,
right.
That still gets me.
Yes. Right. So it was that was always one of my favorite scenes. And when we interviewed Ralph, thank you to him who came on board and really, obviously his stories were amazing. And he gave us such a beautiful interview, and we couldn't finish celebrating Pat's life if he wasn't involved. And Ralph told that story, and he said it right there. But it was a story like we're there, where we were interviewing him. He's telling it. It's the closest thing to me seeing Pat was Ralph telling it, right?
Yeah.
So it was cool just to watch him say it, and still after so much time and the way he said it and the way he did it, it was almost like, I think in that moment he even said, I can get tears right now just thinking about it. Like, so I think that was for me a cool moment.
I couldn't even imagine. I've been all tears. I couldn't even imagine. Oh man, speaking of Ralph too. So are you two fans of Cobra Kai? Have you been watching it? And if not, or if so, what is your thoughts about how it honors Pat legacy, the iconic character, Mr. Miyagi? And I'll just start this really quickly by saying that Oscar, I can't just get over your point of people still thinking he's still alive. I think that this younger generation who's growing up strictly on Cobra Kai, I think that it just shows you how iconic he was and how they really channeled the essence of that character, that to the point that even in the 2000s that you still think this guy is still alive. And I think that, hats off to them really embracing the essence of everything he stood for. So as a fan, I'm just thrilled by it. But I would definitely want to know what you all too, since you're deep into this,
By the way, what is Cobra Kai?
The number one show in the whole world.
I was just about to say.
Come on.
Hey, look, and I would have gave you a pass because I know you've been working hard.
When we interviewed Ralph, he said it was really important for him to keep the essence of Pat and his legacy throughout the episode, because that's the foundation of Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai and all that stuff. So it was very important to him to incorporate it. And I think it was nice what he did, that he went back to Okinawa and all that stuff. So he somehow infused Pat Morita in like every other episode, if you look, whether it's pictures or saying or something like that. I mean, look, if it wasn't because of Pat's performance in the Karate Kid, I don't think Karate Kid would have been that successful. And if it wasn't because of the Karate Kid's success, there would have been no Cobra Kai. So, I mean, we appreciate what Cobra Kai is doing and bringing back, Pat Morita's name for especially the younger audience. I mean, the people who are in their teens and 20s, they're not really that familiar with Pat Morita. So I think they were doing a great job bringing Pat Morita back to life again.
Yeah. I say hats off to the producers. I think they did a great job. I love the whole how they spinned it all, where now Daniel LaRusso's on top and Johnny's not doing so hot, which was kind of the opposite in Karate Kid. I love that, and I like how they went, like especially in this season, how they went into a bigger arc of Martin Cove's character, with like, why is he the way he is? Which I think was fantastic. Overall, hats off to Purdue. I think they did a great job. And I think that's why I think the show is as successful as it is, because they obviously have our generation who already love all these characters,
Right.
and they've done a really good job preserving that. And one thing, I don't know if it was clear, when we interviewed Ralph, he was already in Cobra Kai. So they were already doing Cobra Kai. He was the last of the people from Karate Kid. Mm-hmm. So we went down to Atlanta because that's where they shoot, and we got to him. So he was already, that's why he was telling all these things. This was important for him, and da-da-da.
Yeah.
So I think they did a great job. Our generation sees that and can totally appreciate that. And then on top of that, I thought they did a great job with the youngers, and then that's why I think the younger generation. So when you got the younger generation demographic and you got us, the older, you got basically the whole world,
Yeah.
And I think they captured it really well, and they're doing a great job with it. I agree with Kevin. I love the on season 3, the episode where they go back to Okinawa. And I think that's special, and that was huge. People don't even know. Some people don't know this, but like, if you go back, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Karate Kid Part 2 was more successful than the first one.
It was, yep. It was.
Right. And they didn't even shoot that in Okinawa. That was in Hawaii.
Right.
Yeah.
So now he got to really go back to Okinawa, which I think was special for Ralph. He mentioned that. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And I think that beyond just the legacy of Pat, when you're touching a franchise as such, and you're playing with fire, when you touch something that's already iconic and wanting to bring it back to life, it can always go wrong. But the fact that you're bringing in numerous generations and everybody's happy and we all are feeling for more, they're doing a good job. And I think too, again, to you all's hard work, bringing more emphasis on Pat's life, that when you think about this, folks, and again, I'm going to plug it one more time, February 5th, you can get this everywhere, and even including on DVD and Blu-ray. When you think about the essence of what Cobra Kai stands for, it's embodied by Pat Morita's life. And if you want to know how that all transcends here, this documentary highlights it to the T. And get your tissues and all that, because it gets deep, but it gets real. And it's a celebration of his life, but it also is a lot of good messages that you can take from it for your own personal life. And that I just was just wild about. And I will say this too, it is a absolutely good documentary. The one thing I remember saying in my review is that it didn't supersede with the production, so that everything about the essence of the documentary was lost. And I see that sometimes where people do so much of the transitions and effects and all this razzle dazzle. It's just like, but I'm looking for something interesting and deep here. That's why we watch documentaries. We want to know something we haven't seen before, and that's what you're getting here, 100%. And it is definitely a must watch. But with that being said, because now obviously fan, and I didn't even like when I realized that you did the real Miyagi, then you did this, I was like, oh yeah, I like these guys. I need to know, folks, and the fans need to know what is next. What can we be expecting from the two of you?
Yeah, well, here you go, Kevin. What is next? We don't even know.
We don't know. We usually just throw some stuff in the oven and see what bakes. But I'm working on a script. Oscar is also working on a lot of things. There's this script that I'm really passionate about. That it's about this Iranian family that migrates into the U.S. in the 70s, and because of the hostage crisis that happened, across the world, it changes this boy's life forever, this 9-year-old boy. So that's what I'm passionate about, and hopefully that's the thing I'm going to work on next. So.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Is this boy's name Kevin by chance?
Ooh, you're not supposed to know. No, his name is not Kevin, it's Kayvon.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, no, we have a couple things that we have in the queue. We can't really say anything right now because it's not solidified yet.
We haven't signed the contract yet, so once we do,
I think any filmmaker and anyone who's in this, you're always hustling and you got things in queue. I got so many projects in development, what I mean? What really gets developed is a different story. So it's always a tough thing. Like they're passion projects, and you gotta now find that executive producer that also has that passion and
Yeah.
that this project resonates with them. So that's always a tough thing. But we got a couple things that are, I can't really talk about the things like Kevin just did, but there are some things brewing. That's all I can say.
You have to. It all has to be passion project, because if you're doing it for monetary value, it never works. You got to do something that you're doing it for yourself, that you enjoy watching yourself. And if you enjoy watching it, there's other people who also will be, would like to watch it. So that's like one thing that we're going to do from now on, is just do things that we're passionate about.
And I think for us, it's like we've always been kind of like just, hustling and trying to do this on our own. It's like, I mean, if I can tell any young filmmaker or anything, it's just, even when you don't have the money or you don't have a way, you look for a way to do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, really quick, I could just tell you the real Miyagi, we wanted to do that, and we didn't even have financing in place. So we just started shooting, and then all of a sudden, things just started happening and people heard about it. And then we had financiers starting to call us, and we were like, whoa, it's like, you got to just get the ball rolling.
Right.
So,
yeah. Well, I made sure I absolutely, if it's okay with you too, now use the word passion project, because that's exactly what this is. And I could not figure out the perfect words for it, but that is absolutely it.
Nice.
And as fans, we just want to make sure you two are either having coffee or in the kitchen. So whether you're baking or not, we just want to make sure you're in the right vicinity. All right now. I can't wait for the next full circle to be like, yeah, you remember we did that interview when I was having coffee? You made me think about my next project. Here it is.
I'm actually thinking about it right now.
But that's awesome. Well, folks, that was do it for us today. Again, Morning Miyagi, the Pat Morita story, is available February 5th, all digital platforms, DVD and Blu-ray. You have here our director, Kevin Derrick, and producer, Oscar Alvarez. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking time. Again, thank you so much for getting this done. I can't wait to see what the fans and everybody says of it. They're going to fall in love with it, and they're going to be demanding more. So, get that coffee ready, because y'all got work to do.
Thank you so much for having us.
Right.
We really appreciate
Thank you.
it.
We really appreciate it. Thank you so
Not
much.
a problem. Not a problem. Thank you so much for watching, folks. And I'll catch you all soon.
Okay. Bye.